Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you happen to be watching this. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I want to talk a little bit about an overview for the research paper, give a few examples of my version of claim data warrant, talk about making sure that you don't allow the reader to draw conclusions that are unintended. And so let's just get on with it. And I hope by the end of this, everybody has a little bit better understanding of what I'm looking for in the research paper. As always, all borrowed images and quoted text are used for educational purposes. I'm just trying to help my students get a better handle on what it is they're supposed to be doing. This is not a monetized video. The basics for the research paper are 5 to 6 pages, double spaced 1-inch margins, 4 to 10 different sources. I stress in class all the time that everything's an argument. However, a quick reminder, this should be argumentative, not informative. You're going to hear me repeat this a lot of times throughout the course of this presentation, but a chunk of the research paper is always about your analysis. You're not just stringing a bunch of facts together. If you're making an argument, you have to tell your reader, or if it's a speech, you have to tell your listener, what do the facts mean? Use the information from the research to support the analysis. Again, you're going to hear me say this several times, but data is not an end unto itself. Data is a means to an end. Remember to quoted and paraphrased material should be cited properly. You must have the works cited page, and the final paper is due on the 21st of February at 11:59. Submitted to the appropriate Brightspace folder. A quick do and do not, and again, some of this is going to get repeated a lot. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that I have covered my bases in telling you what the expectations are. Have a plan. What do you want to accomplish? In a lot of ways, that plan will be, this is the thesis. This is what I hope to get done. At the end of this paper, the reader should. And what exactly is it that the reader should be able to do, should be able to know, should be able to understand, for lack of a better word? I know that the education department sometimes doesn't like that phrase, but I think it's important. What is it that you want? The reader should. The thesis can set a lot of that up, so make sure you have a solid thesis. The thesis is always going to be part of the grade. Make sure it's a good one. What are your reasons for supporting the thesis? Before you even begin writing, you should understand that I believe X about my topic, whatever this topic is. These are the reasons I believe X about the topic. And because you have those reasons, now you're looking for data to support the reasons and data to support the link between those reasons and your thesis. I don't know if I want to repeat anything, but make sure the data lends credence to the thesis and reasons. The important thing here is you need explanations to show how. You need warrants. You can't assume your readers are going to jump to the same conclusions you did. And if, in order to prevent them from going off on a different thought pattern, make sure you explain what it is you believe the data supports. Or the data support, I guess. Do not throw crap against the wall and hope it sticks. Don't just grab a whole bunch of quotations and then write some stuff and then insert a long quotation and then write some more stuff and then insert 2 long quotations and hope I don't notice. Have a plan. Make the plan work for you. Some general statements about using quotations and data, and then I will even try to provide an example that I hope is helpful. The basics. It doesn't exist as an end unto itself. Data is always a means to an end. It should be used to prove a specific point. This is the point I'm trying to make. Here's the data. Here's how the data proves the point. And again, don't let your audience guess at what the data is proving. Make sure that you are using it in a way to prove the point. And as a quick sidelight, I probably should change the is to an are because technically data is plural. Explain it. You're going to see the word explain come up a lot in a little while. Explain it for them. Your readers may not come to the same conclusion you have, excuse me. So take them by the hand and lead them to your conclusion. Don't confuse an argument with screaming and shouting. Confuse an argument with the idea of persuading people to come around to the perfectly logical conclusion that you have. And remember that an individual may be smart, and people may be dumb, panicky, dangerous animals. And since you're dealing with people, explain it to them. When I was a debate coach, I would always tell my debaters, don't let your judges think. Tell them what to think. Explain it to them. And it's the same here. Let's go on. I've talked several times about everything's an argument. The core of an argument is this claim, this conclusion you have come to. The data is the evidence, and the warrant explains how the data leads to the claim. That's the core of the argument. Sometimes you might have to put some qualifiers in there. Sometimes you might have to put some limitations on your claim, or say that the preponderance of the data leads one to conclude. Either way, you're doing the explanation with the warrant. Sometimes you're going to have to back up the warrant a little bit. You're making some explanations, and sometimes you might have to cite somebody to say why that explanation has validity. If you need to do that, please do that. For the purposes of this paper, we're not dealing with the rebuttal that's shown on this video, so we're just going to keep moving, or on this slide, so we're just going to keep moving. Step 1, have a point. That's your claim. Step 2, explain how the quotations, how the data, all of the things that you're putting in there support it. Step 3, don't use super long quotations. A lot of the times, the super long quotation makes it really hard to provide the warrant, to provide the explanation. It's probably much better to blend the quotations with your own text, with your own analysis, and certainly don't string 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 long quotations together. Let me try to give you an example here. For the purposes of this example, I'm talking about women who served as code breakers during World War II, women who in the United States and Great Britain were essential to breaking the Enigma code and to breaking some of the Japanese codes during the war in the Pacific. So my topic sentence for a paragraph is the code breakers lacked mentors and dealt with entrenched sexism. I have this quotation. Math was not a subject women were encouraged to study, and certain parts of the country had no female math teachers at all. I have my citation. Then I add another quotation. If they went out in public and asked what they did, they were to say they emptied trash cans and sharpened pencils. Sometimes they improvised their own answers. I've got another long quotation. And then I conclude it with one more quotation about they weren't supposed to be smart girls. And then I stop. None of this gets me to easily explain that they lack mentors and they dealt with entrenched sexism. So let me give you 3 or 4 slides that probably, and I hope, give you a model that works a little bit better. I'll start with the same topic sentence. The code breakers lacked mentors and dealt with entrenched sexism. Breaking codes depends on math, but Mundy writes that women weren't urged to study math, and in the 1940s, certain parts of the country had no female math teachers at all. Therefore, most women had no mentors or role models. They weren't encouraged to study math, and they had no math teachers or no female math teachers to serve as role models, so they were on their own. Moving on to the next part, the entrenched sexism. Even if a woman chose to study math or demonstrate her intelligence in other ways, she risked being seen as a smart girl in an era when people thought smart girls were annoying. Because this era thought smart girls were annoying and pushed women not to be seen as a smart girl, I think it's a fairly good example of sexism saying that women shouldn't be intelligent. Moving on. The sexism that dominated the era, caused most people to believe women were best suited for menial work or that a woman existed as the plaything for the men she worked for. Liza Mundy quotes an unnamed codebreaker who said, "Almost everyone thought we were nothing but secretaries." The explanation, tying it all together, letting the reader understand what you as the writer believe the quotations are saying, is essential to making an argument. A research paper should exist with the idea that this is the belief system I have, this is the data that supports it, here's how the data supports it. And at the risk of beating a dead horse, explain it, explain it, explain it, explain it, explain it, explain it, then explain it some more. Explanation is the key part of an argument here. The data is important. You can't expect people to believe you without the data. But you can't let the data speak for itself. Format help and grading here very quickly. Quick reminder. If you have the author in the sentence, Mundy writes that women weren't, all you need is the page number. If you don't, people thought that smart girls were annoying, you need the author and the page number. If you make a change for capitalization, as I did here, or you have to throw in the word to make sure your readers know what's being referenced, put brackets around to indicate that you made the capitalization change, like people, and put brackets around a word that you inserted so that your readers know that this was not in the original. Those brackets allow people to understand that you added the words. And no, you can't add 47 words. I've pretty much reached the limit here. The rubrics, I'm looking for the internal citations. In MLA, I'm looking at the Works Cited page for MLA. I'm looking at articles from 2014 or later from ProQuest, from Academic Search Premier, or JSTOR. And quite frankly, I don't know if ProQuest is that good. Academic Search Premier and JSTOR might be the best. Academic Search Premier is under EBSCO. I want to make sure that the data is used properly and that the claims and data are supported by warrants, by explanations. How does the data link to the claim? The Expressing Self rubric contains the thesis, which is something you should always be looking for, the organization, and again, this allows one to look at the data. Is it pertinent and specific? Does it actually deal with the situation at hand? And is your sentence structure solid? And are there very few errors with the grammar? These links will all be in the description box below, but again, Purdue OWL is a great place to start. For the Works Cited page, Purdue OWL also has some great stuff. I'll link to the Works Cited from the MLA guide and a couple other spots from MLA, especially the data space specific, how to cite an online work. All those links will be down in the description box. Please make use of them. They're necessary for both this and the annotated bibliography. I hope everyone has a good day. Hope to see you all in class the next class period. If you have any questions, please stop by the office or send me an email.